Hi there, my name is Kara. I'm a nutritionist and intuitive eating counselor, and today we're talking about how to rebuild your food database, aka your options when you ask yourself, what should I eat? When you are dieting, foods tend to be labeled as good or bad. So this is an example of black and white thinking. This is natural because our brains like to be able to categorize things. It makes it more overwhelming and complicated to acknowledge the nuance. It feels safer to us when dieting to say, this food is good, I'm allowed to have it. That food is bad, I'm not allowed to have it. Notice I said it feels safe. That doesn't mean it feels good. We feel safe when we stick to what we are used to, even if it has bad consequences. If you have always felt that, for example, ice cream is unhealthy. If I tell you, you're actually allowed to have ice cream, it's not bad food, you can and should eat it as often as you want. That may feel totally uncomfortable and unsafe in your brain, going against those internalized food rules that you've set for yourself. When you give up dieting and restriction, you have to redefine what foods mean for you. So rather than categorizing foods as good or bad, you now get to ask yourself, do I like this food? Does this food feel good in my body? Does this food give me lasting, sustained energy? Is it a food I want to have around all the time because I love it so much? Rebuilding your relationship with food after giving up dieting is like learning a new language. In the past, it has been so defined by trying to control and manipulate your body and eating habits that when you realize that the best thing for your health is actually to allow all foods, that no foods are off limits, this opens up a whole new, maybe very scary new world to navigate. Rather than relying on external rules and guidelines, you get to ask yourself, how often do I need to eat to feel good? How sustaining are certain meals and snacks? What foods feel best for me after working out, after I wake up, when I haven't eaten in a while? I personally have very different reactions to some foods if I have eaten on a consistent schedule that day, or if I am in the state of primal hunger and I haven't eaten in a really long time. Sometimes certain things just don't sit well. So this is what you get to figure out for yourself. This is where you get to rebuild your food database. So when you were dieting, your options at any given time were your safe foods. So the foods that you allowed yourself to eat. And even if you lost control around the foods that you had labeled as forbidden, bad foods, and ended up eating them, which is what tends to happen when dieting, those foods still didn't feel safe. They still didn't really feel like a real option for you. And there's going to be a transition period here. There may be a long time where you are starting your intuitive eating journey where you totally reject all foods that you associated with dieting in the past. So this may mean lots of vegetables, things like salads or smoothies or things that you associated with dieting. You may totally reject and not want for a while, and that is okay. It's okay to take a break from any foods that feel triggering to you. We need to rebuild our mental associations with these foods so you are choosing to eat them because they taste good and feel good in your body and you want them, not because you think you should be eating them. So towards the end of this kind of middle transitional period, and there's no set timeline for how long that takes, when you find that all foods are really starting to feel emotionally neutral or close to it, this is when you get to rebuild your food database based on things you actually want to eat. It's your list of kind of go-to snacks and meals, maybe things you always have in your grocery list or always have in your pantry, or gravitate towards ordering at restaurants. Like if it's on the menu, you know that's something that you like and it's gonna feel good, so that's part of your food database. At the beginning of this process, I've had clients that find that their food database is pretty small. It still takes some thought when they ask themselves, what sounds good right now? Maybe it starts with things like, when I'm really hungry, but I don't have a meal ready yet, I'll make a piece of toast with peanut butter. Or I'll wrap a cheese stick in turkey, or something like, I really love chicken parm, so when that's on the menu at a restaurant, I love to order it to see how different places make it, and I know it's gonna be a pretty solid choice for me. So it's a list of foods that most of the time sound really good to you and you know are gonna feel good in your body. What is in your food database right now? When you think of those foods, are they safe foods or are they foods that you genuinely enjoy? with no good or bad labels on them. If you need more support in this area, I recommend checking out my new course, How to Make Eating Easy, Intuitive Eating Foundations. Use code YouTube for $50 off at checkout. I hope this has been helpful for you. I'll see you next time.